What's up, everybody? I had a comment the other day that popped into my head that I remembered, and I went and I dug it out, so here it is. What dungeon drops Gniar Scrolls? This is from Gabriel. So there's a couple dungeons that drop these, but I decided in today's video I'm just going to show you my favorite dungeon to farm skill books for Gniar Scrolls. So skill book or Gniar Scrolls don't drop in the dungeons, but you can farm skill books and then you can exchange those for Gniar Scrolls. So I'm going to show you all of that in today's video. So let's go ahead and jump right into that. Okay, so for this video, I decided I'm going to use my half baggie. This is generally the account I like to use when I'm going to be farming Gniar Scrolls. I just find it the most convenient. But we are going to be going to the Rudine dungeon. So to do that, we're going to go to Teleport. We're going to go to Valley Rift. From Valley Rift, we are going to go over to Dravistown. Just showing you all this so you can see every step of it in case you're wondering. And then, yeah, this is my favorite way to do this. So the nice thing about the Runes of Rudine dungeon is that every run you do, you are going to get a skill book drop. Now, the book will either be a movement skill, a step 1 skill, or a step 3 skill. What you're hoping for is a step 3 skill. That gives you the most Gniar Scrolls. I believe it's 15. You get, I think, 3 from a step 1 and 5 from a movement skill, if I remember correctly. So, yeah. Again, there's other places you can do this, but this is definitely my favorite. So, what you're going to do is you're going to come to Dravis. You're going to go here to the Ancient Presence dungeons. You need our Presence dungeon. You need to create a dungeon or create a party, and then you're going to go ahead. You don't need to have 2 people. I've got someone in the party, but you just need to create a party, and then you're going to go ahead and you're going to enter. Now, in my opinion, there is a faster way to do this. So I like to use the south path. Also, here you can pay attention to the time just to get an idea of how long this is going to take. So I usually position my character right about here. I throw on battle support. This is actually a really nice AFK thing that you can do while I'll watch a movie, or I'll sit and I'll work on another account doing like daily dungeons or something like that. Just because there are sections you're going to go to that are semi AFK. Now, I'm not using runes or anything here. I could be doing a lot more damage if I put runes on and I ran this, but this is just for the sake of the video. Plus, I'm happy enough with my damage on the half baggie that I can run this in a decent amount of time, hitting what I hit. So, but yeah, so we kill that first group of mobs. We go to the second group of mobs. But yeah, for those of you who don't know, Gniar Scrolls can be used to exchange, or you can exchange Gniar Scrolls to get step books, step 1, 2, and 3, or any of the movement skill books. So a lot of times I get people wondering about Gniar Scrolls. And again, I just think this is a really good dungeon to do it. So, 1, you can use this to farm Gniar Scrolls to make your own skill books. Or 2, you can use this as a money-making method. You can go ahead and you can sell the Gniar Scrolls for dill or for graces. Generally, from what I've seen, then after you kill this guy, you run down here. Generally, from what I've seen, you can sell Gniar Scrolls for around 500 for a grace, or 30 to 40 mil dill per Gniar Scroll. So either way, it's actually really good money. The demand for Gniar Scrolls does kind of jump up and down depending on what's going on. It's been a little bit higher recently because of the release of the Alokes, right? Because people are going to be wanting to max out their Meisters. But either way, generally, people are buying Gniar Scrolls. Someone's making a new account. Someone's leveling up the Meisters. They don't want to farm them themselves, and they're going to pay for them, right? So whether you do this as a money-making method or a way to level up your own Meisters, this is just how I recommend doing it. I haven't maxed out the Meisters on my Alokes yet, but I'm planning to do so. I've just been busy working on other stuff, but I just do this when I have a little bit of spare time, and I get anywhere from, I would say, 50 to 80 scrolls an hour, which I don't think is too bad. That's a rough estimate because I don't really know. I haven't really tested it, but if I had to guess, I would say somewhere between 50 and 80 an hour, and yeah, so that's enough for either a step 3 or a bunch of step 1s, or getting you at least partially part of the way to the step 2. So this, again, if you're thinking about it in terms of making money, you could easily farm I would say 500 in a day or two, just depending on how much time you have. I mean, I personally don't have 5 hours a day to play. But if you did like maybe 2.5 hours a day, something like that, you could get up to 500. And that is potentially, let's see, 7 days in a week, right? So I'd say that's like 3.5 graces a week if you put a little bit of time into it every day. And while that may not seem like a lot, that does add up pretty quick if you're consistent with it, right? So let's say you're trying to get like a Helium plus 10 weapon, and they're probably around 20 graces or so. So you just farm 3.5 a week, and in a couple months you can get yourself a really high end weapon. In addition to other things, right? You could do this on multiple accounts. You could also be running AFK characters. It's just a good way to do it. So, yeah. But yeah, here, we're going to get to Rudine here, and I'll show you what the drop is. I'm going to show you where you disassemble the Gniar Scrolls, and then I also want to show you where you can exchange the Gniar Scrolls for step skill books, just so that anyone who's wondering can kind of have an idea of this process. There are other places you can farm these. You could drop step 2 books in, I think it's the Karen's Firepot dungeon. I don't think it's every time, though, but those exchange for quite a bit more Gniar Scrolls, so, that might be worth considering. Dragon's Nest is another good dungeon to get step books on their own. It does give binded books, though, so those binded books actually exchange for less Gniar Scrolls, so I would say this is probably better for Gniar Scrolls. Anyway, I completed the dungeon. Sorry, my inventory is a mess here. And we got ourselves a Sagita Hunter skill. I don't know which one this is, but we're going to go and I'll show you how to exchange it. So you can do a bunch of these. I'd have to check the time, but I think I completed that dungeon in about 3 to 4 minutes. So as you can imagine, you can actually complete quite a few runs within an hour. So it's, again, it's pretty good. Even if you have half the damage, you're still going to be doing okay. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and we're going to return back to our Deka. One of the main reasons I like the melee class for that Rudine dungeon is it does seem to have high elemental resistance. So when I run it on my wizard, for example, it cuts into a lot of my damage, where my half baddie doesn't seem to lose as much damage. So that's part of the reason I like using a melee character for that dungeon. Okay, so we've got our skill book, and we're going to come back to our Deka. Again, I would farm a bunch of these. I usually farm for at least like an hour or two. And then you're going to come over here to Carmen, the Alchemist, and you are going to disassemble, and then you are going to disassemble the skill book. So, see, I got lucky. I got a step 3 that round, right? So I'm getting 15 Gniar Scrolls right there, which is really nice. Again, you're going to get less if you get a step 1 or if you get a movement skill book, but, the step 3s are not super uncommon, so usually you get like 1 or 2 in an hour. But you go ahead and you are going to disassemble. Another thing to consider is if the skill book is in demand, you might just want to sell it straight in the agency, but generally I'm looking for Gniar Scrolls. So I'm going to exchange that, and now I have 94. I'd been farming before too. These are all just going to be for my Aloks anyway. But once you have your Gniar Scrolls, again, you can consider selling them on the agency, selling them to players directly for graces, the 35% ones, or you can take your scrolls and you can run to Matera. And this is where you can exchange them for step books. So again, I'm just going to show this for anyone that's wondering. Just kind of showing the whole process. Again, usually I'll show like one component of something I'm trying to teach, and then there's other questions that come with. So I'm just trying to make it a little more encapsulating so that people can see this. Also, I had a Gniar Scroll farming guide from a long time ago, but that was back when it was still by the Karen's transport ship dungeon, and it is not there anymore. That's a long time ago. But yeah, you come to Matera, and then we're going to run over here to this big dragon in the corner, and you're going to be talking to, I think it's the actual sword. Yeah. And then you can exchange Gniar Scrolls here, and as you can see, 10 for a step 1, 100 for a step 2, 60 for a step 3, or 20 for a movement skill box, and you actually get to choose 4. So really easy way to max out your movement skill meisters. And I don't think I've done it on this account, but they're actually pretty useful, specifically in PvP and some PvE aspects. But yeah, there you go. So this is my personal favorite way to farm Gniar scrolls. I don't know how other people do it, but it is a viable way to not only level up your Meisters, but also make some money in Dekaron, whether that's Dill or Graces. If you guys have any other tips about farming Gniar scrolls, leave them in the comments. Questions, suggestions, as always. And until next time, guys, take care.